inside of that question, and I would say to you, give an example of the train of thought, then I would ask you, well, that depends on your socialization and your indoctrination, right? So just say that Europeans have, 1,000 years advantage on you, right? And they have 1,000 years advantage on you. Now bring your whole mind. And they have everything locked down. They have the schools locked down. They have all the money locked down. They have everything. Universities, they have hospitals, they have banks, they have everything locked down, right? So, and you're coming in that environment. You are born in that environment, right? So all you know to do is to look around at the things that they have established. And that to you will condition your train of thought.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, what I would do, because I often say this in my classes, America says that there's an American dream. And if you don't, the objective is to achieve the American dream, you don't, because the American dream makes you happy. All right. So what that does, it formulates a train of thought in you. And that, along with that train of thought, is coming, if you don't achieve the American dream, then you're opposite of what American dream is supposed to make you happy. It makes you sad.
Yeah.
Because you have accepted the idea that the American dream makes you happy, right? So what if I'm a person that says, I don't believe it? I turn the whole system upside down. What do you mean you don't believe it, right? And then what they try to do is devalue who you are in light of everybody that have achieved this American dream and is happy. And you're one person saying, I don't believe it. I don't believe that I have to have the American dream in order to be happy, right? So even though you might get pressure from that thought that becomes original thought, right? You actually get freed from the quote unquote matrix. And
that's so important.
It does.
You just said something so important.
Hold on to it. It ushers you into discovering, because you have been freed, it ushers you to discover your own happiness. And that means you could have nothing that the American dream had and be happy or happier. So Dean wants to get in because I see he's fired. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
We talk about freedom, and freedom is the easiest thing in the world. If you walk away from everything that the white man created, you are free to have nothing. Anybody can do it. Kanye West, everybody was mad when Kanye said, it's a choice to be a slave for 400 years. But remember, we weren't slaves in the Caribbean or America for 400 years. So he's talking about today. Hov said it in a better way. He said, until you're by yourself, you can't be free. Until you're by yourself, you can't be me. How we still gonna be slaves in 2016? You are free, but you got to be willing to have nothing. I was willing to have nothing from them. So when I don't have anything from you, let me ask you a question. Can you cancel me? Because I speak how I speak, and I speak plainly, and I say things that are the complete antithesis of the World Economic Forum, and I say them confidently in my knowing. Because of 48, I don't believe anything. I either know or I don't know. Well, I realized I was free to have nothing, and I went through a period recently, the last 2 years, when I closed my store of 11 years, to be in the wilderness from everybody, to really go inside completely, to know. And that knowing reminds me of an event that actually shifted my thinking when I was 8 years old. When I was in school, a teacher sent me to go and stand in the corner because she said I was talking. And I felt that it was an egregious act. So, they give you these little incentives to be a servant. So we had a star chart and we used to put a gold star. You're a good boy, go and put a gold star on the chart. Now, I remember I had 13 stars. I remember it to this day. And the closest person to me had 8. And she sent me in the corner. And you know what I did? I went over to the star chart and I picked off these 13 stars and I threw them on the floor like this, and I looked at her in her face because I couldn't do anything else, and I rinsed them in the floor with my foot, because spiritually I knew that I no longer needed her endorsement. If you can punish me unjustly, then I don't want your endorsement. I don't want anything from you. And you see, when I actually picked those stars off that chart in my vexation, when I was in the corner, I was at peace, and I was 8 years old. Now, I'm going to say something. I write as much as I speak, but I don't write. I channel. If I had to write and sit there and think, I'd be pushing like a 50-year-old fat woman runs. But I channel. And I realized that my spirit was free, that resisted certain messaging when I was a child. And it could only lead to the man that I am today. Now, what happens if men, specifically I speak to, and the Revenant, what if they didn't have that spiritual inclination, even not being aware of it, that protected them from certain messaging, certain malware, like you're an ethnic minority? No, I'm not. There's 1.5 billion of us. We're the global majority. You're an ethnic minority. What if I didn't have that spiritual messaging that protected me? What if I didn't have that spiritual messaging that made me read Malcolm X at 17 years old and gave me a framework for life? What if at the same time that I moved out at 18 and I was a petty criminal, I hadn't joined Panther UK as a political organization to give me a political grounding while I'm selling stolen goods, weed, pirates, and adult videos? So all of these factors that were coming into my life to make up the matrix of who I am were for a reason. And because it happened at such an early stage of my life, I couldn't actually change from who I was at any stage, because the political training shifted my moral compass. So after the police shut down my business at 20, after moving out at 18, my mind shifted. So now I'm thinking about my security. I don't want anybody to know where I live, where I sleep. My danger level is high. So as a man, my mind started off on that premeditated journey, but my spirit was always informing me. And anytime I felt injustice, I would find a way to convey my response to that injustice. So I always had a rebuttal. So doesn't that make me my own law administrator? So if I'm my own law administrator, that means I could be a full sovereign of my own governance. I know this isn't a think thing. This isn't theorem. This is me pulling on all the strands of my life, my experience, and my intellectual capital to actually be the man I am today. I can't run away from that guy. I can't hide from that. I can't drink that away. He's there. And he has a purpose. And every single thing I went through was specifically designed to sort me to be the man who needs to operate on this floor. And it's not for me to be the one, the Neo. It's for me to train the weapons who are dangerous, but don't have the GPS to be impactful at their highest capacity. That's why I'm here, to convey that.
It's powerful.